1991, I decided to go to see Japan because I always read about the countries that I visited before. I was looking for some information about Japan. Didn't find much. There was no internet in those days, but even nowadays, there is not much about Japan. It is a society that not much is known about. Well, anyway, I went to Japan, and while I was in Ginza, I was crossing a street when I heard somebody saying, "Excuse me, sir." Turn around and expecting to see some European or American or Japanese. One of them said, "Well, I'd like to ask you something." Sure. So we walk across the street, and then she said, "Are you by any chance from Eastern Europe?" Well, it was a little bit of a shock. I said, "Well, yeah, originally I'm from Romania, but I lived in the last 20 years in America." So we started talking. He is a very intelligent man. His name is Mushi. Well, didn't see him since, but anyway, we start talking, and he was very friendly, very hospitable, and he spent about 3 days with me. In 3 days, he told me a lot of things about Japan, which I never heard before. So here are some examples. He said, a Japanese is working in a factory. 8 hours are done, and he goes to the foreman and says, "Well, I'm done with the work, but I'm still not tired, and I like to work some more. If the company needs me to do some more work, I like to do additional work." So the foreman say, "Okay." So he works another 2 or 3 hours. Maybe he does that every day. Maybe he does it twice a week or whatever. He's not paid for the extra hours because he volunteered. But at the end of the year, he gets a paid vacation of 30 days in Hawaii. Another thing, somebody wants to start a business and he needs money, about $50,000 from the bank. So he goes to the bank and he says, uh, "I'd like to talk to the manager." Sure, he's taken to the manager, and the manager says, "Welcome, sit down." Then he said, "Well, I have an account here in this bank for some years, and well, I like to uh, find out what the bank is doing with my money." Well, the manager knows that he came there to get a loan. But in Japan, you never ask for anything, you always offer. So the manager says, "Well, okay," looks at his account there and says, "Well, what we do, the money that you deposited here, we loan to other people so they will do business with it. And if you want a loan of up to $80,000, we are very willing to loan it to you." "Oh, no, no, that's not what I came here for." "Yeah, I know, I know. But you go home and you talk to your wife and maybe you decide to borrow some money." So the Japanese goes home and comes the next day and tells the manager, "Well, I took your advice and I talked to my wife and we decided to, we could use $50,000 to start the business." So he gets the $50,000. That's the way it is done in Japan. You don't go and ask for it. Another example, you have the Japanese working in the yard, in the garden, and his rake breaks. Well, the store is far and he needs to have the raking done, I mean, in the garden because he's got to plant the seeds because tomorrow is raining and needs a rake. He knows that the neighbor has a rake. So what he does, he goes and get a few cookies that his wife baked, or if she doesn't have it, she's gonna get some in a hurry. So he goes to the neighbor and says, "Well, look, neighbor, my wife baked these cookies. They're new ones, and she asked me to come and give you some of this so you and your wife can enjoy them." Well, the neighbor knows he didn't come here to bring him the cookies. He came there because he wants something. But what? Well, he's seen him in the yard, in the garden, he's chopping some wood, and so he grabs an axe and he said, "Well, look at this axe. It's very sharp. You want to try?" "Oh, no, no, that's all right. It looks hard, but well, it's not the axe. What does he want?" Well, he grabs a shovel. You see the shovel? It's a very, very good shovel. It's very light and you can be very, very, very efficient with it. And oh, no, no, that's all right. That's not. Well, then he was in the garden. He grabs a hoe. Well, look, this is a very good hoe. Look, it's very sharp and very light. And no, 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 no. And then, well, what else? Then he sees the rake there. Look at this rake. It's a very, very good rake, and you want to try it? The guy grabs it. "Well, yeah, it feels very good, looks like it do a very good job. You go ahead, you take it home and try it for an hour or two, however, you see how it works." So he goes home, he continues to work with the rake. That's the way things are done in Japan. Everything is offered. You never ask anything. Some very, very interesting traditions that they have. And, well, may some look clumsy to us, difficult and all that, but that is their way of doing things.